Hi, Boris. Thank you for allowing me to interview you.
No, thank you. Grabe.
So, siguro, just to start off, can you just give us parang a brief, parang biographical, yung information about how you became a leader or how did you arrive at where you are right now?
I'm an accidental leader. I think pinost ko rin yung Lead Like Jesus share the story in their website so you can check it out. But basically, hindi yung when I was in school, parang ang dami kong, alam mo yung marami kang talento pero puro siya short, hindi siya kasing galing, athlete ka, hindi kasing galing ito. Sumali ka sa theater arts, hindi kasing galing na actor. Sumali ka sa ganitong club, hindi ka naman ganun kagaling. Parang parating artist ako dati, parang hindi mo ganun kalabisyon. Parang wala akong magaling
mga
talaga.
Bits and pieces.
Tapos eventually nayaya ako mag-student council. Ang biro mo nanalo. So yung nung nag-election, parang sabi ko, okay, magaling pala ako mag-speak. And I didn't realize that. And then pinasali ako sa mga speaking contest. But what really caught my attention was the leadership opportunity. So, tapos nawala yun, nagtrabaho ako. I was attracted and drawn by the corporate world. And by God's grace naman, nag-prosper. I had a good career in marketing. Pero in a different testimony, I would always say na it's a Jonah experience. Kasi when I thought that God was leading me to lead in the church, kasi muntik na ako mag full-time in many ways. I almost studied in a theological school in the US. 9/11 stopped me from doing that. I almost pastored many times here in the Philippines, parating almost. Para siyang Jonah experience. There's a big fish that actually pulled me out from there and brought me back to Nineveh to lead. So yun yung ginagawa ko ngayon. So I am where I am right now dahil I was a Jonah, being stubborn about kung saan yung comfort zone ko. I've been avoiding God's calling, but now there's really just no way of avoiding that. Parang obviously God said na you're supposed to be in Nineveh, you're supposed to be in the marketplace, and I will use you there. So leadership, public speaking, training, it all came together kasi nga God has that plan, and my Nineveh is obviously the marketplace.
That's interesting, no? Na ang metaphor mo sa marketplace is Nineveh, no?
Yeah.
So, is there parang masasabi mo na lang really different when you're trying to, minister or you're trying to do your calling dun sa ganung context?
Ano lang kasi siguro yung relatability kasi nothing happens by accident, di ba? So after college, I ended up in the marketplace and I know that's not an accident. So yung jargons ko, yung terminologies ko, even the culture is very corporate. Parang in a way parang second skin ko yung corporate world. Sanay ako conversing about strategic planning, sanay ako about KPIs, sanay ako so kaya siya ganun. And when I say Nineveh, it's not in a negative way. Parang diba, if you read in the Bible, Nineveh was a prosperous place, diba? It's a growing industrial export-import yata. But God is always parang concerned about those places and He wants to make an impact to them. So I think yun yung my relatability to people in the marketplace. I think that's...
So coming from a marketplace background, hindi ka nag-struggle masyado, for example, dating sa Christian lingo or speaking lang, amen, amen.
Medyo. Actually, nag-struggle ako dun sa yung antagal ng meetings. Nag-struggle ako pag nag-meeting, may fellowship, tapos may prayer, parang ang tagal naman. Alam na natin kung ano yung outcome Para kasi nga coming from a culture that get things done, parang, uy, ang tagal. But it helped me become more disciplined and to wait on the Lord. Kasi diba, the concept of patience and reflecting and not going kaagad without the Lord leading you there. Yun yung hinubog sa akin ni Lord. Pero tama ka, nanibago ako in many ways.
Were there or was there any time sa journey mo na yan as a leader in the marketplace na parang nahirapan ka, like, okay, should I hold on to my Christian convictions or parang maybe I should relax on this?
That's where my Jonah experience started. Kasi nga, I felt like I was making a lot of compromise in the marketplace. So sabi ko, alis na lang ako dito. Which is normally yung reaction ng mga Christians in the marketplace.
Right,
Alis na lang ako dito, full-time na lang ako. Mali pala ako doon, na-realize ko na the more I do that, I'm really just running away from my original purpose. Parang ganun. And I'm not doing it for the Lord, I'm doing it for myself. Kasi mas masaya kasama mga Christians, di ba?
Right.
Mas tayo, mas you feel...
Same, kabaro.
You're comfortable. And then I realized that's not really what God wanted me to do. He wanted me to be uncomfortable. He wanted me to be... he wanted me to challenge myself, to live up to my conviction, and to be consistent with that.
So, can you cite an example na you really have adjusted yourself pag nasa marketplace ka, like you don't mention Jesus or something like that?
Ay, hindi naman. Pastor, there's really no parang dichotomy. I think if you're a Christian, you're a Christian no matter where you go. It's what I call sensitivity. Parang so I don't really adjust. Parang I'm just natural. I think that's where it helped yung original background ko sa marketplace. Yung parang I'm not normally naman the person who would start parang using Christian lingo, di ba? I would usually use business English in the way I speak. But when we talk pag nadaanan mo talaga yung faith, pag napag-usapan mo talaga yung love, grace, I can't help myself but move there. Makita talaga ng mga tao yung transition. And normally that's what happens. And when I conduct a training, at first parang okay, this is very professional, Boris is very is very technical, and then eventually at the end of the seminar they would approach me, Christian ka ba? Kasi nga at some point nag-bridge ako.
Okay.
But so I'm not saying that it's not a technique. I think it's really more I want you to be and I want people to remember na you have to be authentic kasi mahirap eh. People see through you if you're not being authentic, di ba? And I think that's the advantage of the blending of business excellence or acumen and biblical principle in my life. There's that balance. So it's just natural. In the same way na parang yung mga artista na alam natin naging Kristiyano, wala naman nagbago sa kanila. They still speak the same way. They still they're still flamboyant in many ways. Not that there's something wrong about being flamboyant, but they speak about Christ when needed. Ganun din yung mga people in media. Ganun din naman people in the rural areas. Dapat ka pa rin, as is ka pa rin. There's an adjustment lang, I think, if you're a person who's not used to that environment and you're moving there. I think that's where it comes in.
Right now in my mind, parang there are two people that come to my mind parang who are now parang doing ministry or ministering in the marketplace. Si Ken Blanchard, who is from the business sector, tapos bridging into the Christian culture. Tapos there's John Maxwell,
who's a pastor.
Coming from the Christian and then going into the business. So do you look up to these two people, or how do you see yourself in relation?
Well, of course, who doesn't admire John Maxwell? He's so popular, di ba? But I relate more kay Ken Blanchard, and he's actually a big influence in my life. Mainly because he's been in the marketplace before God called him to. But to begin with, if you listen to his testimony, he was a member of a Methodist church. Nagano lang siya, he just moved away from the church kasi na-turn off siya on how parang leadership or the pastor was treated or dismissed. But he's always been in God's team, and that's my thing. Tapos, of course, even though he's not doing church work, God allowed him to be successful in building frameworks like situational leadership, writing a book entitled 1 Minute Manager. Because when the time comes that God called him back, ready na itong mga tools na ito. It's very useful. Kaya nga, lead like Jesus, as you know. Actually, I think a lot of the inspiration there is on situational leadership.
Right, yeah. So, speaking about people na nagkaroon ng influence sa'yo, dito sa Philippines, sino yung, could you think of a person or persons na somehow, mentored you, influenced you greatly, or coached you, or,
Yeah. Well, indirectly, ikaw, observing you on Facebook, may mga virtual mentors, di ba? Parang I learn a lot from you on a daily basis. But directly, my mentor his name is Robert Clark. He's an American missionary. I don't know if you know him. Pero wala na siya. He went back to the US and ever since kasi he discipled me from a very young age up to I got married up to age 35. So medyo matagal-tagal din. And even when we were married kami ni Michelle, we would always meet. I'm accountable to him in a very big way.
Until now, you
we still communicate. Not as often as I want to. I've been trying to train him how to use Messenger and Skype and Facebook. But a lot. If he emails me, it's a long email. Indirectly, there's a lot of people nga, like I mentioned. There's you, GLS. Actually, medyo I'm going advanced na. Was very instrumental. Just seeing people there, but also parang seeing people that are being used by God, like si Pastor Philip, si Pastor Paul. I'm particularly, right now then, I'm particularly mentored by the pastors that I've worked with, like Pastor Neri, when we were at Saddleback. The people at Saddleback also. I mean, Pastor Rick Warren and his pastors, and Pastor Benji, our ninong, Miranda. So may mga ganon. Pero because they're picking up from where Pastor Robert left.
Right.
So parang, yun. But mainly, Pastor Robert is, I think, the single one person who
greatest influence.
Who really, he's even the one who stopped me from going full-time ministry.
Talaga,
Boris, you stay in the marketplace, coming from a person who is doing full-time ministry.
Right. So, I mean, you have journeyed for a long time dito sa, I'm sure you're not yet done, di ba? You're continuing to journey as a leader. I know this is a hard question, pero could you just maybe tell me maybe 2 or 3 things, or maybe siguro hanggang 4, of what you would call parang essential leadership idioms or nuggets of wisdom that you don't want to disappear from your life. Parang this is your compass, this is your guiding. Like.
Well, there's a lot. I can name a few. One is,
as you can remember them.
One is you cannot give what you do not have.
Alright, okay.
Diba, mahirap magkunwari. So you cannot fake it to win it. And in as much as I do a lot of leadership trainings, I turn down the leadership training opportunities or even leadership positions that I know parang hindi ko pa alam yun. I can't even do that.
Right. So, you don't bite more than you can chew.
And I just have to admit that to people. I don't know that yet. And even if I know some things, I don't know everything. So parang I just tell them, this is what I know so far, but maybe you know something better. And that's why I don't even call myself a leader or a speaker or a trainer. I tell them I am a facilitator. Kasi parang you just facilitate the discussion until they learn something.
Okay.
Tapos, the other thing is, big deal would be humility. Parang, I think constantly God is teaching me that, humility. Parang,
so how do you handle that? Ngayon, very well known and everything.
Hindi naman. Actually, I think ang maganda sa situation ko ngayon, I don't think I'm anybody at all. Parang, kanina lang pinag-usapan natin off-cam. So, I think ang advantage of not being really connected to a big ministry is that you're absolutely nobody. So and you're only parang leveraging on the name of Christ.
Right.
Parang, and nobody really knows you unless you're parang part of a Rick Warren ministry, for example, or a John Maxwell ministry. But you just do whatever you have. Parang just become a good steward. So other than humility, God has been teaching that constantly, and just allowing God to be God, and I'm not. The other one is stewardship. So whatever He has given you, parang maximize it. So yun yung isang na natutunan ko rin my leadership journey. And speaking of maximizing, I've also learned that we're not perfect individuals, so we have our strengths and weaknesses. So we maximize our strengths, we minimize our weaknesses.
Okay.
Yun yung goal.
Are you referring to character or competencies?
Competencies, personalities, profile, pati kasi lahat yun may weak point, di ba? Magaling kang magsalita, pero you're a bad listener. So you maximize your strength in the speaking, you minimize your weakness in being a bad listener.
Alright.
You improve on that. The last one is parang it's about learning. And galing to kay Margie Blanchard said that the gap between knowing and doing is significantly greater than the gap between ignorance and knowledge.
Wow.
Ibig sabihin, pag natutunan mo na, gawin mo na. Pag hindi mo natutunan, absuelto ka pa, hindi mo alam eh. Pero pag natutunan mo na, for heaven's sake, do it.
Responsible ka na rin.
Responsible ka na din.
So as a leader of a growing organization, what would you say would be your key, kahit, isa o dalawa na leadership challenge, that God is allowing you to face right now? You don't have to mention names or parang in general, what would be the key leadership challenges that you're facing?
It will always be people management. I think it's handling people pa rin in general. Parang madali mag-handle ng task, di ba? Madaling,
So EQ.
By yourself, yung pinag-aralan natin na EQ. By itself, parang, you could do this on your own, but if you start working with people, handling the camera, or parang handling the editing, parang, wow, ang hirap nun, meron kang creative idea niya. It's always the challenge, and as far as I'm concerned, yun yung parating naturo sa akin ni God na you cannot move forward without people. You can always, we're built for relationships.
Right, yeah.
No man is an island. We have to work with people in order to accomplish our goals and purposes. So whether in the organization or in the church or when I'm consulting with client, people are people.
Right.
Nobody's hopeless. You work with them according to their development areas and see how they can succeed with you. Parang win-win tayo.
So that's an important insight na parang siguro carry over na rin yan sa Christian background mo, that you can have a parang positive expectation and sabihin natin parang you're looking forward na itong tao na to could be better. Parang
Yes.
So just lastly lang yung sa GLS, paano nakatulong sa iyo ang GLS, si journey mo?
Grabe, ang GLS is my natural environment. Honestly, parang when I discovered it, and I'm glad na si Pastor Philip brought me into it, I really felt at home, lalo dun sa convention. Kasi to begin with, that's who I am. I think I'm a combination of the marketplace and ministry. And when I went there, parang wow, ito natural environment ko to. Parang and seeing Bill Hybels invite subject matter experts, not necessarily people in the ministry, talk about their frameworks and their principles. Na parang wide-eyed wonder ako talaga the whole time. And naman, diba, that's how I met Joseph Grenny. And even now we're in touch, and we're believers of certain causes, and I'm a fan of his writings and his work.
So you don't have any problem na parang listening to people talk about leadership na maaaring hindi Christian ang background? Ano mo doon? Hugot mo doon?
Ako wala eh. Me wala. Alam ko a lot of people would have. I always believe in the blending of biblical principles with business excellence.
All right, good.
Kasi if we believe that God is the creator of the universe, He created also those frameworks. kahit na hindi pa sila church-goers.
Right.
Parang yung kasi si Ken Blanchard, when he developed situation leadership, he wasn't going to church at that time. But it never contested. Parang you should never doubt that God is sovereign and God was in control of him even though he wasn't a churchgoer.
Eventually, he realized na yung ginawa niya, mas nauna si Jesus doon.
Exactly. That's why he did lead like Jesus. Parang it's a way to hindi man correct, but to communicate to people, you know what, my leadership principles have always been biblical. I just didn't know it.
I just didn't know it.
Sino ba nauna? Di ba?
Right, oo nga.
Yan lang naman yan eh.
So, thank you, Boris, for giving us this time. And siguro maybe you can invite our audience, GLS, near them, wherever. We now have about 7 sites actually.
Wow, yeah.
So you can invite them, upcoming natin is GLS North and then GLS South. So go ahead, just invite people sa GLS.
You know, guys, I'm glad that these people are doing it here kasi I've been to Chicago, I've been to Illinois, Willow Creek, and I've experienced it firsthand. Pero it doesn't diminish the impact if it's on video, because the message is the same. So if you can attend one of the GLS satellites conference happening in, the first one is in Quezon City, Manila North this November, and there's another one in Manila South, February next year. And I know there's one in Bacolod, and there's one in Baguio. I don't know where else, but
there's Tacloban.
dumadami
na sila.
So GLS is practically getting nearer to you. Take advantage of that because you get to listen to the best thinkers and best ministry and business practitioners in the world, and it's relatively at an affordable rate, diba? It's almost like going to Chicago. So please join the GLS community, follow them on Facebook or any of their social media accounts, and get updated on what's happening and where it's happening, and please come. Hope to see you there.
All right, thanks, Boris. Salamat.
Thank you, Pastor Bong.
Okay.
God bless.